So I am going to call this meeting to order at 6:34 and going to do a roll call. So Councillor Ricketts.
Present.
Okay. Attendance, yes. Councillor Minhas.
Yep.
Councillor Master Totaro.
Here.
Councillor Golub here. Okay. I have a motion to accept the minutes from May
Gotcha.
8th. Can you make the motion and you can second it?
I thought you just said, I'll make a
No.
motion to accept.
Oh, I said, can I have them? I'll make the motion to accept the minutes, you can second it.
Okay.
That definitely works. So minutes, so today's meetings are gonna be slightly slower because I'm taking the notes and facilitating. Actually, Fuller motioned, Master Totaro seconded. Okay, any discussion on the minutes?
No.
Okay.
Nope.
So we will need to do a roll call. So Councillor Ricketts, voting to accept the minutes. Councillor Ricketts?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
okay. Councillor Minhas?
Yes.
Okay. Councillor Master Totaro? Councillor Golub, yes. Minutes have passed. All right, moving on to the mayor's appointment. So actually, can I delegate this to one of you? So it would be exactly the same as what I just did, or writing down what is the topic, like appointment, and then writing down each of our names and how we voted. Thank you very much.
You
need a pen.
Well, that's already here. The
Well,
names are already here.
yeah, that's true. If you write the topic above the column, that also.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so the mayor's appointment, scrolling down.
Pages.
We are on page 6, so I will read this order. Fiscal year number, order number fiscal year 25001.
I could just write 001 over it, right? Well, no,
I think so.
this is for your records, right?
Yeah, these are for Tammy, who writes up the notes. Question to you, Councillor Ricketts. Is it okay?
Yes.
Okay, is it okay when we're doing the notes to just write the order number? They'll be able to refer back to it, or do we need to write more information like appointments? I know you write really extensive notes, but do you know what the,
This is for the
No.
vote.
You could just write appointments, period. You don't have to even write it out. Just write appointments and then whatever the vote is.
okay.
More than one?
No,
No,
there's
oh.
just one appointment,
Okay.
yeah. Okay, so order number fiscal year 25001, the city council move that it be ordered that the Greenfield City Council pursuant to Charter Section 210 affirms the following appointment by the mayor to the Board of Health. Ahmed Esfahani, hope I have that right, for a 3-year term to expire December 31st, 2027, majority vote required. Right.
I make a motion to approve.
Okay, and then a second,
Second.
any discussion?
No.
No?
Nope.
Okay, so we'll take a vote,
Roll call.
roll call, Councillor Ricketts,
Yes.
Councillor Minhas,
Yes.
Councillor Master Totaro.
Yes.
Councillor Golub is yes. Okay. Scrolling down. Okay. Order number, we are now on page 9. Order number fiscal year 24049. The city council move that it be ordered that the Greenfield City Council amend the code of the city of Greenfield, chapter 110, Capital Improvement Planning Committee, section 1, appointment, membership, as indicated below, with the strike-through text to be removed and the bold text to be added. Chapter 110, Capital Improvement Planning Committee, 110.1. appointment membership. And I'm only going to read what is not strike through and what is bolded. But you can look at this to see what was struck through. A committee to be known as the Capital Improvement Planning Committee will be established for 1-year terms by February 1st of each year, composed of one member of the Planning and Construction Committee, the Ways and Means Chair or their designee, the School Committee Chair or their designee, an appointee of the City Council and an appointee of the Mayor, the Town Accountant and/or the Director of Municipal Finance and Administration shall be an ex officio staff member without the right to vote. The committee shall choose its own officers. And further amends the index of the code and further that non-substantive changes to the numbering of the ordinance be permitted in order that it be in compliance with the numbering format of the code of the City of Greenfield. Majority vote required. We need a motion and then a second to be able to discuss it.
I make a motion to accept.
Second.
So I'll update folks on this. So we already talked about this earlier this year, and then it came to the council floor. And then there was a question as to whether, like, most appointments that come to most of the mayor's appointments have to be approved by or not disapproved by the council. And so there was a question if that had to happen with this committee and if that would delay this process, since there could be a new mayor coming in and then February 1st, this needs to be created by. But I wasn't able, when that question came forward, I wasn't able to cite in the code why I knew that that wasn't a problem. But I went back to the clerk's office and I also asked Tammy to send to you her response to me, which verified what I had thought was true. And so as Tammy agreed, the council doesn't need to approve members of this committee. The mayor, because it says the mayor shall establish and appoint a committee, we don't need to approve it, so that time issue is not an issue. We will just, as counselors, have to, or the current president of the council will need to know that in January, and the mayor will need to know that in January, they need to put their people forward, but that won't delay the creation of the committee. And the intent of this is to make it even, capital is a really important part of our budget and of the work that we do. And so this is just to ensure more participation in that process and more eyes on creating the plan.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Sounds.
All right. Any other discussion?
Nope.
Nope. Okay.
Penny, I like your hat.
Thank you.
Yeah, this isn't fair. You're not here in person.
I'm actually in bed, so.
Okay, so I am going to do a roll call vote. So we are voting to recommend to send this back to full council. So Councilor Ricketts,
Yes.
Councilor Minhas.
Yes.
Councilor Mastrangelo, Councilor Golub, yes. Oh. Scrolling down. Okay, so the next items are,
93. No,
the next items are for discussion. I want to say, just remind folks for the process that that the clerk concurs with, that if we are discussing an item, the expectation is that things that are under motion will be voted on, and the things that are under discussion don't have to be voted on. But if we feel that we're ready to vote on one of these things, we can do so. What's that?
Okay.
all right, I'm just talking to myself.
Okay. I don't anticipate us voting on the next one, but I don't anticipate us voting on the next one, but we could vote on the next, like, for example, the next two might seem pretty simple and we may be ready to vote on them.
So I'm going to leave the meeting now, okay?
Yeah.
All right,
I hope you feel okay, Penny.
okay, thank you.
Okay, bye.
No,
Good night. Okay,
we never asked for public comment. It was somebody else.
what's that?
We never asked for public comment. I don't know if there was somebody on.
That is true. Thank you. I made a,
Is that
and
now?
I can, I can. I just was reminded by Councilor Mastrotaro that I did not invite public comment. There's no one here and I just didn't think about it. So I want to ask if there is someone online who wants to give public comment. Has anyone entered their name in the chat?
Stephanie, I think she's the only one there.
But did she enter her name in the chat?
Nothing in the chat.
So there's currently nothing in the chat, which I'm assuming means that there's no.
Oh, she has her hand raised.
So
Ask to
our-
unmute.
so one question, request to please put your name in the chat.
I think she might be doing that now.
And feel free to unmute yourself. I see your name up and your hand up before you give public comment. Please put your name in the chat.
Okay, yep, she got it. Stephanie Duclos wants to.
Okay.
Chat. Sure.
Great.
So
my
I should
apologies.
unmute or ask to
Unmute.
unmute.
Yeah,
Okay, yep.
you're currently muted. Okay, and you
Hi,
have,
I think I'm in.
hey,
Thank you.
you'll have 3 minutes, so just so you know, I
Oh,
have the
I
timer.
don't have much. Let's just
Okay.
say,
Yeah.
Stephanie Duclos, 166 Chapman Street, for the record. I did notice that the things that you have on discussion tonight, I do have concerns over about the opioid money, but I see that Marianne is not on tonight, so I don't know if those questions or concerns could be answered independently of her motion. I think you guys are doing a good job. I wanted to commend Wahab for his recent approved senior help. And I was unable to attend that last city council meeting due to a zoning board of appeals hearing. I did notice on the agenda that the strike throughs are there. Is the on the last motion that you had talked about on the capital improvement committee, and I wanted to know if those is it beyond the strike through is where the new text begins, or was there new text inserted in place of the strike throughs? And I know that you guys don't have to answer that question. I was just hoping to see, the comparison between the two. Are we, how much are we changing of what currently exists? Pretty much that's it. Thank you for your time and all that you guys put into this.
So I will not typically do this because typically there's more people, but there's a minute left to the last person's public comment. So I will respond. I'm choosing to respond briefly. One is that the opioid money is not on today's agenda. Councilor Bullock was not able to be at the last committee chairs, so it didn't, we're putting that on. It will probably be raised at the next month's committee chairs. And that the change in this is that it changed it from member of Ways and Means and the school committee chair to the Ways and Means chair or their designee, the school committee chair or their designee. And then we added from making it it was previously a 3-person committee, and we're making it a 5-person committee. And the additional members, instead of the additional members are an appointee of the mayor and an appointee of the council. So instead of it being the superintendent's appointee, it's the school committee chair or the designee. So thank you for that reminder. All right, so the code of conduct stuff is what's next on the agenda.
Can I just ask a
Yeah.
question?
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
So this is kind of touching on what Stephanie was just saying. So just to clarify, when stuff is striked out, that means it's being taken out.
Yeah,
Stuff that's already there
yeah,
previously is just gonna be regular. And then
Yeah.
stuff that is added is gonna be in bold.
that's correct.
Perfect.
Yeah, and that's the standard.
Across the
template.
board for,
Yeah. Mhm.
okay,
Yeah, that's how we make sense of it.
perfect.
Yeah, good question. Okay. So there's the code of conduct stuff. And so this is just a discussion between the three of us and thinking this through. I want to share, I'd love to start because I've given this a lot of thought. I know that the clerk's office sent us a lot of documents.
That was my request,
I'm really glad that you asked for that.
because this is apparently going on for years,
Exactly.
and there's probably a reason for that. But
Yeah.
Go ahead, you start.
No, that's exactly right. So, so what, at least the pieces that I'm able to see is that Mayor Forgy put forward a code in 2006. Councilor Ricketts asked for, proposed and passed, the council passed a resolution in 2016. Then there was a code of civility that was intended for city appointees and electeds to sign on to.
But there's one on that same PDF that's directed towards the city council. Scroll down.
On the same PDF.
Mhm.
I think that we're talking about the same. I'm sorry, when you interrupt me, my chain of thought goes off.
I don't mean to
and
interrupt you.
It's, I would prefer not to be interrupted, but, because then I get confused. That said, what are you referring to?
I am referring to code of conduct and civility.
That's what I'm referring to.
That was by 4G.
Yep,
That's the first page. It refers to board members and alike. If you scroll down,
This is from Tammy,
Mhm.
these,
right? This whole,
the second page is directed to the city council.
so in that email, I'm actually in.
which document you're talking? Because there's like one, two, three,
The
four,
last,
five,
very
eight,
last
nine,
one, the eighth one.
The eighth one called Greenfield Code of Conduct and Civility?
Yeah.
Okay,
So that was passed, hold on.
2006.
No, so if I can present these as I'm understanding them, and then if you feel free to correct me. Yeah, so this is what I'm understanding. And this is after several back and forth with Kathy, and I may be missing something.
Okay.
That just going through these, if you both have, if you're referring to the email with all the different
Yeah.
documents. Okay, so there's one that is, Code of Conduct and Civility, which applies to all Greenfield boards, commissions, and committees that Mayor Forgy passed in December 2006.
Correct.
And then there was a resolution pertaining to conduct and treatment of each other that Councilor Ricketts put
Yeah, I
forward.
think that was more, about businesses in town. We
Yeah.
referred to more,
Yeah, so we don't, can I, when you keep interrupting
sorry.
me, like, I just wanna, and then feel free to
Okay.
take your turn.
Okay.
So, yes, I'm not, the language of each of these has been different. I'm just trying to outline like a brief history. So there was that resolution in 2016. And then there was the Code of Civility, trying to find where it doesn't have a date put to it. You see which one it is? Do either of you?
Are you asking me a question, Ken?
I am, yes, you can.
If you go to Code of Conduct
Yeah.
and Civility, the very last
The
one,
very last one, it's
That-
underneath there. Okay,
it's
great.
second page of that.
Right, so you'll see this doesn't have, this would apply. This Code of Civility is something that created with the intention for the city council, the mayor's office, and all elected appointed officials of Greenfield to sign on to. Kathy couldn't remember when this, so I'm just trying to give a chronological order of things. She couldn't remember when this was created, but she said it was during Martin's term and that it was probably around 2017, 2018, like that time. And that it wasn't with any intention, that it kind of slipped away. Like it exists, we have it, but people haven't been signing on to it. It's kind of forgotten. And then in 2022, you'll see a lot of meeting minutes from 2022. And it appears as though, if I'm making sense of this, that it was brought up by A&O and then kind of flittered away, like it never ended up being passed. This happened right before and right after I joined, and I wasn't exactly aware of it, and it just kind of went away. Hold on one sec. And so that was in 2022, and then Councilor Bullock is bringing this new form now. I hear you having some urgent.
No.
We need to take turns,
Yep.
and we need to have patience.
All right, yeah, I mean.
Let's just let her speak.
Like,
Fine.
There's so much false urgency out there. There's not urgency around this right now. We just need to learn. Part of civility is learning to listen to each other and take our.
Okay, don't cut you,
So-
be uncivil, please.
What's that?
Nothing, go ahead.
No, I'm being a human to you and saying, hey, let's do this. So I have opinions, but before I share my opinions about what I thought this through a lot of what I think could happen. And I talked to Councilor Bottomley and Clerk Scott today about what my thoughts about this are, and they both kind of agreed with what I was thinking. But before I share thoughts about what I'd like to propose here, just talking about the history, like just any questions about the history, and then feel free to share your thoughts.
Well, that's what I was gonna give you input about the history, the 2000.
Absolutely, go for it, exactly.
From what I understand, this had a lot to do with the behavior of a certain
Right.
counselor that
Right.
is no longer city council. That was that, from what I gathered, and I was not on the city council, but I was paying attention. This was to potentially find a way to.
Yeah.
To find some kind of penalty or whatever, for somebody's behavior. And so the way I see that is you don't make a rule for one person, right? It's that's how things should be done. It's the whole, not gonna stray, but that whole taxi cab thing, I didn't present because we've gotten that, there was an amendment to that, a proposed amendment to that, that changed the whole structure of the cabs for hire because of one cab company. And that's not how we do things. So, having said that, that's the history that I know about all the stuff that went on in these committee and council meetings in 2022.
Yeah.
So you're saying, if I can summarize this, is the last document that was sent to us, right? Are we talking about the last document that was sent to us in the mail through the email?
The very last one
Right.
on the list?
Yes.
What do you say the last, can you?
The one titled Greenfield Code of Conduct and Civility.
No, that one, I think what, she's
Yeah.
correct, that was like done in 2000. The first page was done back by Mayor Forgy. And the second page, which is directed towards the city council, was back probably around Martin's time.
You know,
Okay, so what are you talking about?
I'm just talking about the other ones, the rest.
Oh, the whole like.
Yeah, that's just
Okay.
basically notes and from.
And so what's your take on it? What are you trying, what are you trying to say?
I'm not trying to say anything. She asked me, I answered.
Okay, that is because we had all of those because there was a specific counselor who was being uncivil, and so that's why
Well, or potentially,
potentially.
that's
uncivil.
all, what,
Potentially
that's,
uncivil.
all, what is.
But you
It's all
think that shouldn't have
subjective, it's
happened?
all subjective.
So you think
all of
that
it, as
shouldn't
far as
have
I- yeah.
happened because anyone can say.
I'm not
anyone
saying it
else-
should or shouldn't have happened. All I'm saying, you made a statement saying it was about somebody was being uncivil. I didn't say that. I would not, the whole point of my whole argument about this whole thing is all of this is very subjective, how behavior is. Somebody could interpret things the wrong way. My concern is you have a code of conduct that outlines what you can and can't do, and when you can do it, and where you can do it, and how you can do it. And with that, you need a penal code. So we're gonna have a 10-page document that if you say something at a certain time, a certain way, this is your punishment. Listen, the bottom line is, to me, the bottom line is be civil. There's one word, and it's decorum.
Mhm.
And some people have thicker skin than others. And people sometimes get their feelings hurt. Things get heated. We've had a couple of city council meetings that have been very heated. And when we walk out the door, we're a group. If something gets voted on, we stand by them, because we're not the Supreme Court. We don't have to write dissensions. So I'm just trying to stay on topic.
Yeah.
So I don't even know if I would want a document like this. Okay.
That's what I'm trying to get at. Like, what's your take on it? Okay.
So I want to see if I'm understanding what you're saying. You are saying something that I completely agree with, which is that we should never legislate or make rules that apply to one person. And I appreciate the work that you did on the taxis and like this. I mean, I don't really know about it, but I hear you and I believe you that you're like this ordinance was coming forward to apply to one taxi. And I want to be very clear that Councilor Bullock brought this forward. Councilor Bottomless said, "Hey, will you bring this conversation forward?" I said, "Sure, I'll bring it forward." I also agree. That we should never legislate to regulate one person's behavior. I also, thinking this through, we can't legislate respect. Like it is subjective. We can't legislate respect. I mean, part of you is just we could, but we in today's day and age, but in my opinion, we can't. So, also, and I hear the question about how is this enforced? We're elected officials, and so we can't remove each other. The public puts us forward, right? So we can't remove each other. So as I've thought about it, and I need a little bit more time to think this through. I was away 2 weeks in June. I'm just looking at this now, but it seems like we actually have the structures in place already that we need, which are this code of civility, which we haven't been, which actually applies to the members of the council, the mayor, and all elected and appointed officials.
Mhm.
So it's not just for the council, and it's created and it exists. And then the other thing, in terms of enforcement, we have Robert's Rules of Orders. We have agreed to comply with Robert's Rules of Orders. And so I've asked, there's all sorts of versions of Robert's Rules of Orders out there, and I tried to do research online. Finally, I asked Tammy to send me the updated version and tell me where discipline is in that, and she did today. And I asked her to send that to the members of ANO and the council leadership. And so I'm not completely set that this is what I would like put as a proposal. But what I'm currently thinking is that we have a code of civility that we can, it has to be voluntary for us to sign on to it. I would hope that we would all sign on to it, but we can't. The members of the public elect us. No.
There's,
Wait, you're interrupting, Michael? You talked for a while. Like, I'm saying this out of real respect and generosity.
I thought we were having a conversation.
We are, but
Go for it.
I don't want to interrupt you. Like, you talk, I don't want to interrupt you. I would just ask the same from you. So we have the code of civility. It would have to be voluntary that when new counselors come in, and also if we're bringing this to our attention, we could all choose to sign it. The mayor, if she chose, could bring this forward to staff to have them sign it and consciously agree to act civilly. But that's not on us. Like that's the mayor and her staff. And then I think it's a good idea for us to read the Robert's Rules of Orders about discipline and that talks about calling people to order and potentially censoring people. And I just got that from Tammy today. So I need to give it more thought, but that's what I'm thinking currently. Yeah.
Okay, so this is what I have, okay, few clarifying questions. First off, is what is proposed by Counselor Bullock a updated version of a code of conduct?
It's a brand new code of conduct, and I haven't yet compared the code of conduct that she brought forward and the code of civility in depth.
Okay,
Gotten to that, but
just doing that while we're talking right now, it seems like the Greenfield Code of Civility, which was already there in the past, should be able to deal with any and all potential cases of uncivility and break from decorum. I don't think I would agree with Michael that there's been heated conversations and heated meetings, right? And I mean, I think it's, it's gone to the point where it's been public, right? This is not the last meeting. There's been a few meetings. If you remember, I think like a month ago or 2 months ago, there was a meeting, and it came in the paper that it was a heated and uncivil meeting. I was attending the meeting virtually, and I could still feel the heat. And to which I said, can we please lower the temperature? And the fact that I had to say that as a new council member and people who were involved in that, a lot of times you're just, it's the flow of the moment, whatever. But I had to say that made it to the paper, right? That shouldn't happen. And then we had another incident where stuff like this happened. So perhaps we need to just enforce the rules that already exist, right? That's my one point. My second point is reading Counselor Bullock's perhaps updated proposed code of conduct and civility. I had a few issues with it because for me, in spirit, I am in favor. But for me, before anything else, freedom of speech is the most important. Respect is absolutely important, but also just as important as freedom of speech. Now, I feel like the rules that we already have, if someone feels like they have been disrespected and another counselor has spoken to them or acted in a way in which it is uncivil, I think we should follow the procedures and codes. You can go all the way up to censoring a counselor or board member, right? You can go all the way up to it. There's a whole procedure for that. The president can step in and say, hey, calm it down. like, let's preserve decorum. Now, that didn't happen in the last incident, should have happened. I think many people might not have even heard or even really been able to process what had happened. On the moment, we're human, we don't really know how to think fast, we're kind of just like, hey, what is this, what happened, shouldn't have happened. But what my issue with Counselor Bullock's thing is when it starts talking about, oh, this, when it says, for example, this code also applies. Okay, so furthermore, this code of ethics should apply whenever a city council member is in any public setting or when any action or conduct becomes the subject of general public notice. Cool, general enough. And then this is where the problematic stuff comes from. This code also applies to the use of all forms of social media and electronic communication in any form of written or graphic communication for public dissemination. These principles shall be informed by public admonition through resolution, censure, and other actions deemed appropriate by the council. That I absolutely disagree with, because that limits all of our freedom of speech, our ability to engage in communication with our constituents, with each other, with our friends, whatever. So, I mean, who's going to do that? So is my social media now going to be monitored? Who's going to do that? Is a like of a post that is inflammatory fall into this? Is a comment on a post going to fall under this? Is a, post itself going to be? Like where do we draw a line? I say, what I would like to be regulated is what is actually happening in a meeting, right? Yes, be civil generally, right? You are elected, you should be civil, you should have basic respect for every human. But you're elected to a council, have respect for your position and for your other counselor's position, right? So what is in a meeting should be regulated, what you say and what you don't say, right? And there's general, and I'm the first one to break it a lot of times, but don't swear, don't, have proper body language, yeah, whatever it is, all those things that occur in a meeting, because those meetings are recorded, those meetings will be here forever and ever, right? But what I don't like is when now this is starting to say, hey, what do I say and do and engage with on social media? I don't like that at all. I guarantee you the stuff that I'm engaged on in social media is absolutely inflammatory to everyone, And now, should I have prying eyes and the government, when it's even on the local level, determine what is inflammatory and what is uncivil and what is disrespectful? No, absolutely not. They should have, no, just because we are counselors, no government, small or big or local or state or federal, should have anything to say about what I have to say or engage with on social media. And that's what I didn't like. Other than that, cool.
Well, may I?
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't see what's wrong with this thing that's been lurking for
The code
years.
of civility.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
me neither.
it's there,
Perhaps it needs to be enforced. That's what,
but enforcement is the issue. And again, like, just, you could say, Michael, I don't like the way somebody treats you, right? And I could say, well, I don't care because that person has an issue. All right. So, you know what I mean? If somebody can say something insulting in a meeting, that's verbal, all the world can hear it, but somebody else could be in a meeting and roll their eyes and mumble under their breath, and that is just as
to the aggrieved party. That I think, is that what you're trying to say?
right, that's just as inconsiderate as saying something under your breath, and, an animated behavior, that's could be offensive to people. So the issue is enforcement. And that's why I think the bottom line is to ensure there is decorum. And that's it. Be
How do we do that?
nice, just be nice.
I have an answer. So there, we don't have the ability, so looking at Robert's rules, I read through it once, like for me to really digest it, I need to read through it a few times. I just asked for Tammy to send it to you all, so you haven't.
I'm pretty familiar with it.
Okay, so
Anyway.
we can, so there's more in there about calling someone to order, like censoring. That's what we can do to enforce it. Basically, what happened with Counselor Lipinski in two years ago-ish is what we have the ability to do, is to vote to censor someone, but that doesn't mean we can't remove a member from their seat, as, you know, Robert rules may apply to some other organization. So that's what if I were to put forward a proposal now, it would be, well, there's two steps. One is to ask you and then Counselor Ricketts and Counselor Gordon to read through the Code of Civility and to read through Robert's rules and say, I would like to recommend that we recommend to council that we sign this code. It's voluntary.
Why, Michael?
Yeah, seriously, like, let's learn civility is all about learning to listen to another person without like listening to speak next. There's no urgency here. Like,
Okay.
I'm addressing,
Yeah.
and friendship and respect, addressing what's happening in the moment. So we could pontificate about the Code of Civility and the Robert's rules, but before we do that, not before, we can do that right now. Of course, but that's what I would suggest, that we sign this thing that already exists and that we learn Robert's rules and call people to order. And I don't know that there's much more enforcement we can do. And we'll have his on stack and then Michael.
Okay, that I absolutely agree. I think we should definitely do that. I think that would just bring to the forefront of our minds to all the counselors and, you know, also maybe other members of boards. Just that, hey, respect is important. You know, and I don't think that's an unreasonable call. Just be like, hey, let's sign on to this, something that's already there. I think that's very, very logical to ask and request. Now my question was, could you explain, like, I'm learning a lot of these things, these are kind of new. What does it mean to actually censor someone? What does that mean?
It means to public, my basic understanding, and you may know more about this, someone else does know more about this. It's basically, we're publicly saying that we want someone, that we don't like their behavior, or we would like them to stop.
It's not public.
Does that
admonishment.
silence them?
No, because especially with us, they're an elected official. The public would need to do a recall vote. Like, we can't, democracy means, this representative form of democracy means that they're elected and they can only be recalled by the public.
So that just
Can't act.
publicly says, hey, what you did was bad, that's it?
Pretty much.
I thought it was like, hey, shut up.
No.
Oh,
We-
or like you
we
can't
can't.
speak for a while.
No.
Oh, cool, okay, that's not bad. I thought it was as much worse then.
We can't do that, yeah,
Here's my take on this whole thing.
yeah.
We have rules in play, city council. All right, and what's not stated in our city council rules, we follow, which is in our rules. We follow Robert's rules.
Mhm.
So all of it's there.
Yeah.
We don't need to do anything, quite frankly.
Michael, I don't think signing on to an already existing document's gonna, somebody's dick is, I'm sorry,
Yeah,
nobody's fingers are gonna fall off.
No, I'm not
Just
suggesting,
sign the damn
I'm not
document, like, I
suggesting-
mean,
I think there might be a misunderstanding here.
I'm
When
not
you-
suggesting that we do that. All, I'm just making a point that these rules of civility already exist within our city council rules and what Robert's rules states, which is what we have to follow if it's not in. Robert's rules supersedes a lot of our, well, vice versa. So, yeah, we can sign anything we want, but the fact is, it's already there.
Well, the key thing, I think the misunderstanding here, I think what I hear you saying is that we don't need to create something new. it's the tools are there. We've got Robert's rules, which are really like the maximum enforcement that we have. And we have this code of civility. I think that what you're saying is that, okay, let's bring it to light, because we didn't even know that it was here. When I became a counselor, I wasn't asked to sign it. When you all became counselors, you weren't asked to sign it. So to bring it forward, let counselors know it's there and say, hey, y'all, let's sign this.
And it's voluntary.
But it's voluntary. People do not have to sign it.
Yeah. I would.
I think
suggest
that's
we-
fine.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah.
That's fine, let's get it done with, and then let's move on to our actual job of legislating for the public.
Okay. So do we,
Like, there's pressing issues.
yeah, so do we have?
People are wondering if they
Question.
can eat at the end of the
It seems like
week.
We have agreement.
Do we wanna, do we need to vote on this? No.
But I'm gonna think this through for a moment. I think that what we could say is that we, the three of us representing A and O, recommend to Counselor Bottomley that he brings, and I checked this with him beforehand, I'm like, this is what I'm thinking.
Just a civility thing.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, to make a request to have, and Clerk Scott agreed. That she also said, let's not recreate the wheel, we have these things.
Right.
So we can say that we can say that we're recommending to them that we ask the city council at the next meeting to read and sign this document. And also, y'all, let's make sure you're reading Robert's Rules of Order, this section, so that we know how to respond. If we feel called to respond to hold somebody to the code of civility. Do we have
Yes.
agreement?
I have an agreement.
All right.
Yeah.
Right on. Okay, good. All right,
I'll
so.
do it in the next 2 minutes.
Good. So, can you write that there? Not, so like recommendation,
Uh,
and you want me to do it, Michael? You want me to take that paper and I will do it. So I'm gonna write, tell me to edit this if you want me to. We unanimously recommend
code of civility.
to that we unanimously recommend that the counselors read and sign on to the code. It would say voluntarily sign on to the code of civility. At the next meeting. And if they're not present,
It's just there.
yeah,
When
And-
it gets to it, sign it.
and if not, then I'm just gonna be very specific, and if not, then at the next one, they're present too. At the next meeting. They're present too. We also recommend. That the counselors read section, it's section XX of Robert's Rules. So that we're all familiar with the possibilities for enforcement.
And again, I'd just like to just say, okay, I'm new to this, so I am learning about a lot of the decorum and the ways of conduct myself.
Yeah.
So I apologize if sometimes I swear, I apologize if sometimes I speak harshly to someone, like what I just said to Michael, but I think the thing is if like.
What'd you say to me? I don't listen to you anyway.
So the thing is, I know,
I
Michael, to this
listen
point
to what
where
you
if I
say.
say something to Michael, if Michael says something to me, we will hardly gain.
Yeah.
Yes.
I here, but yes.
But, like,
Decorum.
I know that's something I can definitely work on where, you just try to follow a more formal tone. But it's easy to get animated at times, it's easy to get, hyped up, not because of the position we're in, but because of we just all have different personalities, and sometimes It's like you don't even disagree on things, you just have a personality clash. And somebody's response and reaction to something might be different. Someone else, if Michael, like, for example, if Michael calls me an asshole, I'll just be like, well, fuck you, you're an asshole too, right? But if someone else, right? But if someone else says that to me, who I might not know, I'll be like, excuse me.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and so the thing is, we should have a code of conduct where we
Yeah.
agree that, hey, let's be respectful, and we should minimize.
Yeah.
That type of stuff. So I want to take responsibility for some of my language that I may have indulged in the past and probably will in the future. But I'd say let's just be respectful to each other. We have gone through the election process. We have gone through day in and day out. I mean, a lot of this stuff that people don't understand who are in the public is that unlike members of the public, anytime we're seen outside, people can just be like, hey, you grab us by the collar, answer this, this, and this. Right? We have a responsibility sometimes that we, didn't ask for necessarily. Anywhere we're seeing, people can just be like, hey, you do this. And so we have to deal with that constant stress. We have to deal with,
I don't know how
and we're
stressful
learning
it is.
how to do that. Well, I meet around 500 people a day at the counter, so that's different.
It is different.
And I don't get to
It is
choose who
different.
comes into my store. They all come in.
I just drive criminals around.
What
What I will do though.
So
Well, hold
let's
on.
be nice.
Hold
Let's
on.
be
I'm
nice.
gonna interrupt it,
Okay, go
because
ahead.
I wanna get out of here.
All right.
I would recommend to everybody, I don't know if
Yes.
you've noticed it, right? You know where the board is downstairs, that list?
Oh, the
Council-
bulletin board?
With the list that city council,
Okay.
names, right below it is this document. Which I took
Oh,
a
yeah,
picture of.
I read
It's
it.
a resolution of respect.
Oh, is that another piece?
It's been
Yes,
there
that's a
since
different-
Mayor Martin.
Okay.
Perhaps we can sign on to that as well. I
Well,
don't
it's
know.
not something to sign on to, it's just something to read
Yeah.
and let it sink in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just be nice to people,
want me to read
treat
it?
them how you would want to
No,
treat
but I would
them.
like to see it.
The golden rule.
It's right downstairs.
Okay, I could go down there. And I will at some point. Okay, so do you concur? We unanimously recommend that the counselors read and voluntarily sign onto the Code of Civility at the next meeting, and if not, then at the next meeting they're present to. We also recommend that the counselors read section XX of Robert's Rules so that we're all familiar with the possibilities for accountability, not enforcement, for accountability. For
Period.
accountability, period. Yeah, we
Okay.
good? We
I'd like to
did
make a
it.
motion
To go on to move on?
to adjourn.
No, we can't adjourn yet. There's two more items.
Oh, I already showed my laptop.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
gonna-
you will need a break? Okay, we're going to
I'll
take,
be right back.
we're all gonna break so that.
You want to
Counselor-
go over, okay,
We're-
no, I
No,
just gotta
no,
use the restroom.
we're taking a 2-minute pause. Go to
Okay,
the
I just gotta use the
restroom.
restroom.
We're all gonna be here. We're just gonna wait.
Mic off.
Is that typical? Yeah, let's turn the mic off for 2 minutes. We're gonna just take a 2-minute pause and
You
we'll
go.
be right back.
Oh, the mic was up, okay.
Yeah, good thing.
But still, okay, so there's two more items for discussion that we could, like I said, if we all agree to, make a motion to approve, we could. So the first, is, I checked with Kathy, the purpose of this, is to,
Page, please.
so we are on page
13.
13.
Yep.
And the purpose of this is, it's called a draft proposal presented by the administrative assistant to the city council. Policy for approval, review, and release of executive session minutes in accordance with open meeting law. The purpose of this is to create a regular practice of reviewing executive session minutes on a regular annual basis, and also to have this in place rather than having to decipher open meeting law, but just to make this a regular practice. I'm curious what your thoughts about it.
Who's wrote this stuff?
The administrative assistant to the city council, which, to be honest, I'm assuming it's from the clerk's office, but I checked it with Kathy and she explained it to me, but I didn't check administrative assistant to the city council. I think that's Kathy and Tammy,
Okay,
but
Yeah, I read this and I'm all for it. I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
yeah, I just had a question as to who wrote it.
Okay. Yeah, would you feel ready to vote
Yeah.
to send this forward?
Mhm.
Okay, then we don't need a roll call because we just have a quorum in person. and-
Did you make a note that she left the room? That she?
Oh, I didn't.
I don't know.
Yeah, she left after the vote on the capital planning improvement committee. See if you want to do that before we vote on this.
Yeah, let's put Penny.
Thank you for,
What meeting after? After, capital improvement, right?
yeah, she did after the vote on that.
Okay.
Okay, so you don't have any other questions about it? Okay, great. So then I'll do,
Want to vote on this? now?
yeah, so then if one of you can make a motion to approve this and another consent.
I'll make a motion to approve the draft proposal presented by the administrative assistant to the city council.
Second,
Any other discussion on this?
No.
No? All those in favor?
Yeah,
yes.
Aye. Okay,
and this is draft proposal. I'll put right here.
yeah. Yep.
Yes. Yes. Yes, and nay, and a nay.
Hmm,
Absent.
absent. Oh, okay, got it. I heard nay, you wrote A. Okay, got it. All right, and then the other piece, also submitted by the administrative assistant, who I'm assuming is in the city clerk's office. This is adding a piece to our meeting rules. And, I think it's pretty self-explanatory to,
This is Janine, isn't it? It's Janine.
no, Janine's assistant to the mayor. Yeah.
Right.
So to let them know as soon as possible if we are unable to attend.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm all for that.
Right. Yes, okay. So then if you all are in agreement, if one of you can make a motion and.
We can call it amend the rules procedure, right?
Yep, that's true. That's right.
Motion to take a vote to amend the rules and procedures of. What is it called? Proposed amendment to the rules of procedure submitted by the administrative assistant to the city council submitted June 8th, 2024. You want a
Second.
second?
I'll second.
Okay. Any discussion?
Nope.
No, okay. All those in favor?
Yes.
Aye, yes,
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
right.
Yes.
Okay, so. Our next meeting. All of our meetings are at 6:30, even if the calendar says otherwise, unless I'm notified and you all will definitely be notified.
6:30, right on.
6:30, yes, on August 14th. And here and Zoom hybrid. Looking to adjourn. Thank you. All right, yay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, all right. Thank you very much. Thank you, Michael, for taking
Yeah,
that.